This story begins with a girl priestess who was in a guild of adventurers who did the paperwork. The guild girl asked her if she would really leave the temple. The priestess was determined to leave the temple and join the guild. The guild girl gave her the neckpiece, which represents her level. The neckpiece was made with porcelain. The top levelers had the platinum one, then the gold one, and then the silver one, which was in large numbers. She was a beginner, so got the least one. The guild girl told her to select any quest she would like to. Suddenly a group of a warrior, a wizard, and a fighter came to her and asked her to join their team. They were going on goblin slaying, and their team was deficient in one member. Priestess agreed, but the guild girl wasn't happy. She was quite serious. Now they went to the fort and started moving inside, but Priestess was a little scared, but the warrior motivated her that he'll cut the goblins with his sword. The fighter girl was also confident in her fighting skills, while walking warrior asked the priestess if she had some holy powers. She told them that she had healing and holy light power, but she could use only 3 times. They saw some skeleton there and she started praying. Wizard told her that they had to move fast and she stopped because she heard a sound. When they turned, it was goblins. The wizard was defending, but they took her wand and she was helpless. Priestess was also fighting and they attacked wizard. Warrior and fighter also came and he started fighting, and the fighter told priestess to use her healing power. Warrior was fighting, but suddenly his sword dropped from his hands. Priestess magic was also not working. The fighter told her to run with wizard, and the goblins also attacked warrior. The fighter girl was fighting, but suddenly a giant came and started throwing her on the walls. She was injured and hopeless. They started torturing her by tearing her clothes, and she told the priestess to run. With a stone on her heart, the priestess ran, leaving her behind. While running, she dropped wizard by chance and was sorry for that. Someone attacked her and the goblins came and started tearing wizard's clothes. The priestess was sad, and she saw someone coming. Goblins attacked him but were useless. He killed them, and she asked his name. He replied Goblin Slayer. He removed the arrow from her shoulder and gave her a potion. She told to give this to wizard, but he said it wasn't of any use because she was almost dead and he killed wizard. He told the priestess to drink the potion and asked about her powers. She told him and he started applying goblin's blood on his armor to mask his scent. Now they were going and he told her to get used to a blood smell. She saw the dead body of warrior and felt very creepy. He showed her other ways in the fort and told her that goblins might be small, but they are not idiots. She was listening to him and he suddenly attacked goblins. After that, he told her his plan and stepped forward. She cast her holy light and he went inside and started attacking goblins and killing them. After that they were running and she fell. She cast her holy light and he killed the giant. Some more goblins attacked him, but he killed them too. Now they went inside and the fighter girl was in a bad condition. The priestess hold her and the goblin slayer went to the children's cage and started killing the child goblins. The priestess was sad and crying. All the girls kidnapped by the goblins were saved, but they were in a mental torture condition. The priestess went to the guild and the guild girl was happy to see her. The priestess showed her armor to the goblin slayer and now they will work together like a team. A cute little girl named Cow was sitting with a boy and she asked him if he wanted something from the city because she was going to the city soon. But he said he wanted nothing and they had a little fight. His sister came and asked if everything was okay and they said yes. Now she left but was sad. Her uncle asked the reason and she told him about her fight with him. Now in the present, she woke up and had a sexy figure. She looked from the window to her childhood friend Goblin Slayer. He was checking for the goblin's footprints. She was talking with him and he was replaying her sincerely. At the breakfast table, he gave some money to her uncle and Cow was interested in Goblin Slayer. He told them that he'll go to the guild today and Cow told them that she also had some deliveries today so they could leave together. Now they were going and Cow was driving her cart. At the guild a man was requesting an adventurer because goblins were destroying his fields and his home. The guild girl took the documents and the money and the man left. She was tired because this wasn't the first request of the day. She talked with the guild official and she said someone would definitely kill the goblins. Cow had delivered the things and now they went to the guild. Everyone started staring at him and talking about him. The guild was filled with many adventurers. Guild girls posted all the quests and everyone started selecting the quests. Cow was watching all this and the priestess came to him and greeted him. They had a little talk on goblin slaying and they went to the guild girl and asked for goblin guests. Cow was standing behind. The guild girl told them the quests and he asked if any other team had selected goblins. She told them that a team had been selected, and when she told them about the members of the team, Priestess was shocked because she had experienced that the team would fail to kill goblins. She asked to help the other team, but the Goblin Slayer refused and said if you wanted to help then go by yourself. They said goodbye to Cow and left. Cow was waiting for them at night and her uncle came and asked to sleep. She insisted on waiting for him and he said it was of no use to wait for him. Because he had changed a lot, he wasn't a child now, he had faced a lot of bad things in his past. His village was attacked by goblins and they killed his parents, raped his sister and destroyed everything. He wasn't able to do anything instead to watch from the place he was locked in. Priestess and Goblin Slayer had attacked goblins and Priestess got another power of protection. She was a bit sad and it started raining. The next day at the guild the girl was about to post the quests and she saw Goblin Slayer was coming and she was happy. Now he went home and met with cow she asked him for breakfast. A roadside singer was singing a song about Goblin Slayer and a person in a veil was staring at him. She went to him and asked if the Goblin Slayer was really a living man. He told her the address and she was an elf named Archer. The next morning she went to the guild with Dwarf and Lizard Man. They were looking for the Goblin Slayer and the guild girl was a little scared. Suddenly Goblin Slayer and Priestess came. They asked to talk with him and he told Priestess to wait for him. When she was waiting, a boy named Greenhorn and a girl cleric came to her and asked to join their team, but she refused. A witch came and said she'd handle her. She sat with her and started brainwashing her. She started smoking and told Priestess that the Goblin Slayer had offered her to join his team once with a weird proposal. But she refused, and if the Priestess wanted to help mankind then she had to join another team and kill the monsters. She was answerless and the witch told her to set her mind first because only killing goblins isn't enough. On the other side, Goblin Slayer was talking with Archer and Dwarf. They were asking him to fight against demons but he refused because he only wanted to fight with goblins. Archer got angry and Dwarf held her. Lizard Man told him that he'd definitely fight with goblins and he told him all the stuff happening in their villages. The army and the kings were looking for fighters to fight and save them, and he gave him the map and he said he'll manage it and pay him whatever they could. Archer was shocked. When he came out he went to the receptionist and asked for the money. He told her to give some money to the priestess. She came and asked where they were going now, but he said he'd go alone. She was sad and told him to even discuss it with her before setting his mind. He said that he thought it was a discussion, but she told him that she wanted to come with him and he agreed. Now they all went out, and at night they sat together and started talking about how they became adventurers. They were enjoying the food. Archer gave Priestess the food she ate on the days when she traveled and it was delicious. Dwarf showed them booze which he was carrying. Archer drank it and lost her mind. She asked Goblin Slayer if he had any food after thinking he showed the cheese. When they ate it they felt amazing. Archer tried to touch Goblin Slayer's stuff but he stopped her and she asked about the magic scroll he was having. He told her that it was none of her business, and now they started talking about Goblin's origin. Priestess told them that folk say when someone makes a mistake a goblin made under the earth. Goblin Slayer told them that he believed the goblins came from the moon, the green moon, and the shooting stars were goblins coming to earth. Archer asked him about who told him that story and he told them his elder sister. He fell asleep and Priestess gave him a blanket.
The next day, High Elf Archer kills the goblin sentries at the ruins, and the group enters. Goblin Slayer's group enters the ruins where he notices there are no totems, suggesting a shaman does not lead these goblins. After rescuing an elven prisoner tortured by goblins, an angry High Elf Archer vows to avenge her fellow kin. The group finds a hall where the goblins are resting. The Goblin Slayer's group uses sleeping and silence spells to kill the sleeping goblins without alerting the others. However, their silence alerts the goblins' leader, an ogre, one of the Demon Lord's generals. The ogre attacks the group using his strength and fire magic and proves difficult to kill due to his large size and ability to heal quickly. With his armies at their limit, Goblin Slayer uses his trump card, a magic teleportation scroll given to him by Witch, which sends strong jets of water from the bottom of the ocean to damage the ogre before giving him the killing blow. As elvish reinforcements arrive to take over the ruins and Goblin Slayer's group heads back to the city, her experience with Goblin Slayer and his obsession makes High Elf Archer want to take Goblin Slayer on a proper adventure. After recovering from his wounds, Goblin Slayer helps Cowgirl cart supplies to town. There, he meets High Elf Archer, Dwarf Shaman, and Lizard Priest, and tells them he is open to the idea of exploring some ruins with them. Priestess informs him that she has been promoted to the next adventurer rank and formally thanks Goblin Slayer for saving her life. He then encounters two young adventurers who lost a sword in the sewers, and advises them to use a club as an improvised weapon so they can retrieve it. Guild Girl asks him to act as an observer on the promotion exam, where she punishes a Rhea scout for stealing loot from his party. The Rhea scout considers attacking Guild Girl but is dissuaded by Goblin Slayer's presence. Meanwhile, the two young adventurers recover the sword thanks to Goblin Slayer's advice. Goblin Slayer then receives a special goblin slaying request from Sword Maiden herself. 10 years ago, a group of heroes, including Sword Maiden, slew the original Demon Lord. Currently, the new hero and her companions slay the resurrected Demon Lord in another part of the world and crush his army, though some generals remain on the loose. Goblin Slayer and the rest of the party journey to Watertown, where they meet Sword Maiden, now retired. Sword Maiden informs them that there have been a string of violent murders in the town recently, and they suspect the culprits are goblins in the town's sewer system. Since the army won't mobilize to fight goblins and other adventurers have failed, she decided to reach out to Goblin Slayer. Goblin Slayer agrees to the quest and leads the party into the sewers, where they discover the goblins have learned to use boats to navigate the sewers. This puzzles Goblin Slayer as goblins have never been smart enough to use boats before. After sinking a goblin boat, the party attracts the attention of a giant alligator, which they take advantage of by tricking it into destroying the rest of the goblin fleet. As they return to the surface, Goblin Slayer is troubled that the goblins knew how to use boats, yet were unaware of the alligator, leading him to conclude that somebody had placed the goblins in the sewers. After a brief rest in town, Goblin Slayer and his party venture back into the sewers to investigate the source of the goblins. Goblin Slayer brings along a canary to warn them of any poison gas as a precaution. The party delves deeper into the sewers but is led into a trap and locked in a tomb. The goblins also begin pumping poison gas into the room, which the canary warns the party of, and they successfully seal off the vents to prevent the gas from entering. The goblins then resort to attacking the party directly, revealing a goblin champion is leading them. The goblin champion critically wounds Goblin Slayer and attacks Priestess as the goblins overwhelm the rest of the party. Motivated by the priestess's screams, Goblin Slayer regains consciousness and attacks the goblin champion from behind, tearing his right eye out in the process. The goblin champion and his minions flee, giving the party the chance to regroup. Priestess's wounds are healed, but Goblin Slayer collapses from his own wounds. Goblin Slayer wakes in the Temple of Law, having been healed with a resurrection miracle. Sword Maiden confides in Goblin Slayer she had been captured, raped, and tortured by goblins 10 years ago, which is the source of her scars and partial blindness. Despite being one of the heroes who slew the Demon King, she is still deathly afraid of goblins. High Elf Archer, Dwarf Shaman, and Lizard Priest decide to continue scouting the sewers while Goblin Slayer and Priestess spend the day in town recovering and repairing their gear. Witch and Spearman arrive to deliver a mysterious package to Goblin Slayer. Meanwhile, Cowgirl continues to wait for Goblin Slayer's return, despite her uncle's warnings that he may not come back one day. The next day, the whole party heads to the sewers and finds a room guarded by a powerful demon. Goblin Slayer uses the package, which contains fine flour, and spreads it around the room to create a dust explosion. The explosion kills the demon, and the party investigates the mysterious mirror it was guarding. The party discovers the mirror is actually a gate linking the sewers of Watertown with the Green Moon, allowing goblins to enter. As Lizard Priest works to remove the mirror from the wall, the rest of the party repels the goblin counterattack led by the Goblin Champion. Once the mirror is loose, Goblin Slayer has the party take shelter under the mirror while Dwarf Shaman collapses the roof once the mirror is loose. The goblins are crushed, but the mirror protects the party, leaving them unscathed. The party encases the mirror in cement and sinks it in the river, as they can't guarantee other goblins won't learn to use it. Goblin Slayer reports to Sword Maiden, revealing he suspects she knew more than she let on. Sword Maiden admits the giant alligator is her familiar that guards the sewers, while the mirror was placed by a cult of demon worshippers who the hero already wiped out. Even though the masterminds were taken out, Sword Maiden delayed doing anything about the goblins because she secretly wanted other people to understand the cruelty goblins are capable of. Goblin Slayer merely replies he cannot save her from her trauma, but he will kill goblins if she asks him, even in her dreams, which alleviates her worries. On the way back to their town, Goblin Slayer tells the rest of the party he plans to make ice treats, and the party promises to help him. The hero's defeat of Demon Lord and his army are confirmed, and she becomes the 10th person ever to achieve a platinum rank. Festivities are held across the land. Meanwhile, Goblin Slayer continues his daily chores and accompanies Cowgirl to the town to get his armor repaired. While there, he sees veteran adventurers training rookie adventurers when he encounters the rest of his party, who invite him out for lunch, with Cowgirl and Guildgirl also joining. During the meal, Guildgirl notes the guild has started a program to have retired adventurers train rookie adventurers, so retired adventurers stay employed, and rookie adventurers have a better chance of surviving. Cowgirl wonders if Goblin Slayer will ever retire. The next day, Goblin Slayer performs more chores around the farm and reads a letter from Sword Maiden, thanking him for his help and telling him she no longer sees goblins in her dreams. That night, Cowgirl shares a moment with Goblin Slayer and tells him he should think about his future. Going to bed, she reflects on the fact Goblin Slayer can't kill goblins forever and wonders what will happen when that time comes. The next day, Goblin Slayer does his daily patrol around the farm and discovers goblin footprints. Goblin Slayer concludes that a horde of over 100 goblins will attack the farm soon. He warns Cowgirl he cannot fight that many goblins in the open and urges her to run, but she refuses to abandon her home for a second time. Goblin Slayer heads to town to ask the other adventurers for help. They refuse at first since there's no quest or reward posted for fighting the goblin horde. Goblin Slayer then offers everything he owns, equipment, assets, knowledge, and time as the reward for helping him fight. Sensing how serious Goblin Slayer is about the situation, Spearman and Witch agree to fight with him, as well as the 2 rookie adventurers Goblin Slayer helped. And Goblin Slayer's party also joins without question, for the rewards of food or drink afterward or him joining an adventure. Guildgirl then announces that she's posted a bounty for 1 gold for each dead goblin, which convinces the rest of the adventurers to join. Goblin Slayer warns the horde's adventurers are being led by a goblin lord, a highly intelligent goblin specializing in leadership. He devises an effective strategy for the adventurers to fight the horde, and the first few waves of goblins are easily defeated. The Goblin Lord then sends several hobgoblins and goblin champions at the adventurers, and attempts to flee but is intercepted by Goblin Slayer. While the veteran adventurers slay the hobgoblins and goblin champions, Goblin Slayer fights the Goblin Lord alone but is defeated. However, when Goblin Slayer is about to be killed, Priestess casts 2 protection spells to trap the Goblin Lord. The Goblin Lord attempts to trick Priestess by begging for mercy, but this fails, and Goblin Slayer deals the finishing blow. It's revealed that this was all part of his plan, acting as bait so Priestess could entrap the Lord. After all the goblins are killed and the farm secured, the adventurers return to the guild to celebrate, where Goblin Slayer confides to Cowgirl, who has started to pick up an interest on becoming an adventurer. He removes his helm at Priestess's request as her reward, and the other adventurers are surprised to see his face for the first time. In the epilogue, Priestess narrates that Goblin Slayer is just another pawn on the board to the gods, but the gods have taken an interest in him due to his refusal to let the gods roll the dice on his actions, meaning his fate is completely unknown to them. She then remarks that Goblin Slayer is still out there, fighting.
How was the video? We hope it was good. If so, please check these videos. Also, please comment down your thoughts and your suggestions for future videos. If you haven't already, please consider subscribing now to show the support to our channel. We hope to see you soon with another video right in this channel. Have a nice day.